We're on page 353, and we're now jumping back into the Shulchan Aruch in depth. Siman Tet Zayin, chapter 16. Shi'ur Talit, the size of a talit. Uvos Seif Echad, and there's one halakha in this chapter. Maran has a question. Shi'ur Talit shechayav b'tzitzit. What is the size? What are the dimensions of a fabric that a person wears which requires tzitziot on it? You have things with four corners. You have a scarf. Does a scarf require four corners? Tzitziot on the corners?
No. That's pretty good.
You're wearing a poncho. Does a poncho need four corners? You have a shawl. Does a shawl? All kinds of clothes. And perhaps today we're dressing in a different style.
If you have round corners.
No, but is it the
Square corners.
You have four corners. The question is how big? What's the minimum size? Not that you get a mitzvah with. This is not what we're discussing. The question is, what is the minimum size that is required to have tzitziot on it? In today's world, we don't really wear so many four-corner garments. I would like to say that in the generation before us, and perhaps not in Europe, but in the Sephardic countries, we wore a lot of robes and cloaks and sheets and a lot of things that had corners. They weren't tailor-made clothing. They were kind of flowing clothing that fit the weather in which we live. Shitkaseba be'orech uverochav. It has to be something that a person can cover themselves length and width. Rosho v'rubo, their head and the majority of their body. Shel katan, of a young boy. Hamithalech levado bashuk, who is old enough to walk alone in the marketplace. Ve'no tzarich acher l'shomron, he does not need someone else to watch him when he's walking. Somebody who's old enough to walk alone in the shuk, it has to cover the majority of his head and his body.
That's so easy to
It's
say.
very superfluous language.
Yeah.
I believe that we had this question earlier, and we said that Maran wanted to teach us two things. One is the age of a child, and the second is, I remember that we asked this question, but let me see if it's brought up here.
Yeah, but this is
Good rap,
it's
huh?
not-
Yeah, this is like
this
way
is
more.
very out of the
this
way.
is very not Agda.
Katan is walking by himself in the shoe. And he's to watch it.
Well, that's subjective too. Like nowadays, most moms do not let their kids walk around.
Most
Shoot, even when they're 20 years old.
They'll walk alone and you see.
Like they're saying,
50-year-olds don't walk in the shoe
No, it's like his head. What does it mean? Moshav or Boshav?
So that's you're basically begging. Why is it? Yeah, it is.
So like if you can put a piece of cloth like that, like he wears it.
Would you wear that as begging?
Like no, that he wears it as like a sort of coat and like a hood. So with that.
What do you mean?
It
Sounds like
says
a.
Moshav or Boshav.
Yeah, but Rubo.
Like yeah, it's not even specific.
I don't have a good answer for you.
Wear a towel though.
Aside
like
from
a
it
towel.
might mean that he's trying to teach us something else.
So towels too, like,
Towel from the garment to wear.
like big enough like a beach towel or something. Those are big enough.
For tzitziot.
Yeah, for sure.
Says the Rama, Haga, V'az chayav b'tzitzit, then it's obligated in tzitzit, but dafka only k'sha'gadol levsho pa'amim aray, when the older person wears it sometimes. If yotzeh b'lashuk and goes out to the marketplace. I mean, it's not coming to tell you that a 9-year-old or kid, that's what the Mishnah says, the age is 9 years old. It's not telling you that a 9-year-old boy is obligated in tzitzit, rather it's telling you that when you wear the clothing of a 9-year-old boy, it's something that would cover his head and his body, then that's the minimum requirement of tzitzit when you wear it.
So is a minor somebody who's necessarily not 13, under 13?
Yes.
That's what's considered
Yes,
minor,
under
not,
13.
not our concept of minor.
No,
I
and
mean,
even younger than under 13, meaning
Yeah.
the age of 9 or 10 is already considered the age of chinuch. According to sample scheme 6 and 7.
But there's also another age of 20 that's got sort
Well,
of
that's
a-
what I mean, because we think
Right?
minors
What's that?
legally, it was illegal. to have-
20 refers to things that are involved in dinei shamayim. When a kadosh baruch Hu punishes, it's not really a number you use in halakha. Two instances I think of You use the age 20 in halakha as when you force a person to get married. Shulchan Aruch Siman tells us,
Do you have a twitch or what?
tells us Yud Gimel mitzvah. When you turn 13, it's a mitzvah to get married. Chaf chova. Yud Chet chova. 18, it's an obligation. Chaf at age 20, kofinoto. Bedin beats him, forces him to get married.
Didn't they kick out like Yerushalayim at one
2
point?
years
Yeah,
ago.
there was a cherem the Chida put on the old city of HaShamayim that anybody who's 20 and not married is not allowed
Get
to
out.
live in the walls of the old city.
It's not all about the what?
He's not allowed to live in the walls of the old city. I believe it was Chacham Ovadia who took back this cherem. He felt that ages change, generations change. I
Wow,
can tell you that from these things,
What a novel concept.
from these things you can learn. From these things you can learn that it's a dangerous thing to marry people off before they are ready to do it. And I can only tell you that if people would listen to their children when it came to marriage, sometimes someone says, I'm not ready. The last thing you want is someone who's not ready to be in a relationship
That's right.
because all kinds of things happen after that.
Yeah.
And these,
What about an education that teaches young people how to be in relationships?
well, that's very important.
And
we've
in
mentioned
a
that
lot of
before.
places they're not getting in the Jewish world.
That's
I'm
definitely.
assuming they-
Those articles I shared with you about this guy had no skills in communicating with the opposite sex at all, didn't know what to say, how to please, in terms of taking care of and buying clothes and making a living or anything. It's just,
There's some hilarious YouTube videos about the shidduch world that
I
they're
showed my
devoted-
dad.
I'll tell you, in general,
Lack of
the problem with the Jewish world is a problem that we're perpetuating forward into the 21st century, and that is we're stopping to live a natural Jewish life.
yes.
We're creating an artificial Jewish bubble in which we're trying to, maybe not here in San Diego, which we're trying to raise people and educate people and hide people and shelter people. I'm not talking here about exposure. I don't believe you have to do drugs to be a drug counselor. That's not what I'm sharing here. Rather, Judaism used to be natural. Torah used to be natural. It was part of life. It was part of marriage. Was part of life. Having children was part of life. Being a bar mitzvah was just a normal thing that happened. Today, everything has become very artificial. The Jewish world is not living a real Jewish life. I'm not afraid. I was in New York and someone asked, what about this? What about that? I said, look at the way you dress. The way you dress is not natural. I dress the same way sometimes. It's not the way Jews dressed. And you can't force this on somebody else, this dress. Because this dress at best is the way you dressed. It's your custom. It's the way you feel like doing something. But it's not the way Jews dressed. It cannot be the way. You can't imagine that in the middle of the desert we were wearing fur hats. Something is missing here. And then we've created so much importance around these fur hats and around the coats and the stockings and someone told me that I didn't know it was a thing. Closed-toed shoes and our grandmothers wore robes and sandals and all kinds of things. I don't understand sometimes. I understand Hilchot Tzniut. I'm aware of Hilchot Tzniut. I'm aware that our rabbis appreciated Tzniut. But at a certain point, we were normal human beings that dressed modestly, that lived the life of Torah, that kept Shabbat, that ate kosher. And all of it, we've transformed this into some kind of, it's almost like a game that we play, and it's very silly.
I told you about this Haredi children's book with Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon. They're dressed in Steinlach and, long black coats in the midbar.
No, that's not a
And
joke.
people insist
I've seen textbooks that look like that.
Moshe
But
Rabbeinu
why
wore
go
a
far?
Becker
I'll
shirt.
blame you guys the same way.
You
Why
want
go
back?
far? I'm not blaming Hasidic people in New York. I'm going to blame you. How is it that we are raised that we only go to the store and buy things that have kosher symbols on them? When nobody, a generation before us, only bought things that had kosher symbols on them. How is it that we're not taught in school, instead of what is kosher, buy the things that have the hechsher on them? Instead of being taught the laws of kashrut, which would allow me to walk to a grocery store and understand that there are hundreds and hundreds of things that I could eat that don't have a hechsher on them, that are kosher. I mean, where do you think we shopped? We shopped at Galibers in downtown Morocco. We shopped in an Arab store with Arab bakers and Arab cooks and Arab. Where did we get it? You shopped in places.
Market.
The Kozak.
America.
The Kozak had a little market on the side of the road, and you went into the inn and and the taverns, and they drank alcohol there, and they ate food there, and we don't teach kashrut anymore. People don't know the laws of kashrut. They just know which hefsher is not good, which rabbi is besmirched by another organization. That's the extent of the knowledge of kashrut. And we all live there. This is not a Hasidic problem in Brooklyn. This is a Jewish problem. We don't know the laws of kashrut.
Right here in Orange County in San Diego with Rabbi Benzikin and Coffee Bean.
Yeah, this is a real problem. So anybody who speaks
Some people are trying to see like bad.
someone speaks Lashon about him, there's a special place in Gehinnom for them. It's only done good for us. It's not even true. I mean, the things that people are speaking, there's no more that I can say. It's we live in a world that's lost, and we're not teaching Judaism anymore. We're teaching all kinds of. I want to read you a story. It's a tangent. Leave this in the class.
Remember that story I told you about the Sephardic rabbi whose kids were in a girls' school, and the daughter brought a cake to school that they baked at home in the rabbi's house, and they announced over all the loudspeakers, "Don't touch the cake, it's not kosher."
Wow.
He had to pull his kids out of the school and start his own school.
Oh man.
The Jews in Brooklyn decided they couldn't do it anymore. Judaism was too difficult. It's too much. So all the rabbis got together in the Beit Midrash. They started praying. They said, "Father in heaven, the Torah is too difficult for us. We can't do it anymore. Please, just take it back. Take it back." Hashem heard their prayer. It was so heartfelt. And they put an ad in the newspapers that Hashem is sending trucks to the main road in Brooklyn. And the ad says that my children, I've sent trucks. I will take back all the things that of the Torah. Just give me back all the mitzvah, all those things that you guys don't want anymore. Put them on the truck. I'm going to get rid of them for you.
The layaway plan.
Send it to Google.
They sent back in the newspaper, Hashem, you should know we've got everything packed up in boxes. We're ready to go. We're sending it back to you. So they come, the truck shows up, and the people are loading their boxes on. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and starts checking the boxes. I'm translating from Hebrew. So what do they find inside? They find cholent, they find matzah balls, they find sugar cubes, long noodles for kugel. He finds stuffed cabbage, sweet carrots, tzimmus. He finds all kinds of long coats in different colors, strandlach, and different levels and heights. White socks. He finds long shaitels that are very fancy, all kinds of bulletins from the synagogue about Lashon Hara, about an internet. He finds all the towels from the mikveh in there that are damp and smelling, special kosher from Mahadran Passover soap. He finds
Tinfoil.
What about Passover brooms and
Passover brooms?
He finds the long belts and gartels and special leather talit bags and all kinds of different tzedakah boxes that will help people reach all kinds of sgulot. You put a coin here, Hashem will answer your prayers. He found $500 etrogs. He found handmade matzahs. He found all kinds of thick wicks for lighting the chanukiyot. Potato kugel that was baked the whole night in the oven. He finds special rolls that are for Sudat Shishit that you don't make a hamotzi on, they're only mezonot. He finds silver crowns for the talit. Everything they give him back. Keep going. He finds filters for the sinks, for the bugs. He finds all kinds of segulot. The Rebbe gave out his little leaves from his Hoshanot. He finds gefilte fish from last week's Shabbat. And the whole thing, Hashem finally comes out of the truck. He says, "My children, are you crazy?" He said, "I didn't ask you for all this garbage. So what is this?" He said, "Fish and kugel and hats and coats. What are you giving me?" He said, "I told you, I gave you a Torah on Mount Sinai. I asked for it back. This is what you're giving me back?" He says, the Torah is complete. He says, "You know what? I'm going to keep all this stuff. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff for you, and you'll realize the Torah that I gave you on Mount Sinai is beautiful without all this stuff. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's sweet without all these things."
Still sell it to us now, Joe.
We live in a world where people, what they think of when they think Torah, when they think mitzvot, when they think Beit Knesset, they're thinking about things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu never asked us for. And our rabbis never, I mean, I'm not getting rid, God forbid, of a HaShamayim and the Gemara and the Poskim, but they didn't ask us for these things either. Nobody asked you to pay $500 for a lemon. Nobody. After that, it used to be that people would go, who learned? You guys learn Masachet Sukkah yet?
Next year.
Next year.
Coming.
What happens if my etrog is dried out, if it has dark marks, if there's a piece missing from it? People went to their tree and they picked an etrog and they made a bracha and it was kosher, We live in a world, you order your lulavim, you get special hadassim that are a special length and all that. We've gone mad. I mean, Judaism is no longer Jewish. It's no longer Torah. And we sit here and sometimes I feel like crying. Like, what is going on? Who took my Torah? They hijacked it, turned it into something else. It's not an Ashkenazi problem. It's not a Sephardic problem. It's a universal Jewish problem. We have all done this in different ways to the Torah. And we have to stop. It's time to stop playing games and to learn Torah. And that's why we're getting back into these discussions. I don't know how we got here, but it was a good discussion to have. Anyways.
The most...
And
Right, the most-
if Barry has time, this rant should be kept in this lecture, but also be taken out and put on a different playlist so I can share it independently of the other. I'm serious.
There's a Yetzer, one of the great Yetzer Haras is when a person thinks that they're actually doing something, but it's no longer what it originally was. You think you're doing something authentic, but it's no longer
The
real.
big complaint the rabbis tell us when we were building Pitom and Ramses in Egypt is they were giving us land to build houses on, that the houses sunk into the ground. It was not stable land. You build and build and build, you come a month later and the building was gone. It was like you were working for nothing. And I sometimes feel what's going to happen to Am Yisrael when they worked and they kept all these stringencies and all these things and they're going to go up to Beit Din Shaman after 120 years. And they're going to realize like they thought that they had a whole room full of mitzvot and all of their mitzvot fit inside of this little box they got in the grocery store. It's really sad. They're going to be broken. And who broke them? It was the Jewish community that broke them. Or the rabbis who were quiet and didn't say anything. Or who, even worse, led them into doing these things. And really, it's so sad that a person's going to spend all their life, sincerely, they sincerely want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're not giving them the chance to serve Hashem. We're giving them the chance to serve all kinds of Jewish fads. Some of them 100 years old, some of them 500 years old, and some of them 2 days old. But let's look in the Shulchan Aruch. 353. Shiur talit, the size of a talit, she'ra'ui latzet bo yedei chovat mitzvot tzitzit, which is the minimum requirement to fulfill your obligation of tzitzit with. Ben talit gadol, uven talit katan, whether it's your talit or your tzitzit. Hu ama v'chetzi orech al ama rochav. It is a ama and a half length by an ama width. An ama is 18 inches.
You gotta give centimeters.
So 27 inches by 18 inches.
Isn't it like the distance from the crease of the elbow to the wrist or something?
Yeah, but today's
More or
measurements
less.
we say 18 inches. I don't know. I don't have a.
But we talked about this before, though, the difference
little over
between
2
a
feet by
body
a foot
measurement and a digital measurement. Because measurements used to be done according to proportions of like a body. Or
Right, but we mentioned
yeah.
that those were never subjective. They were objective.
They were.
The size of a fist, your fist and his fist are going to be halachically the same size fist.
Yeah.
It'll be
Right,
the average
right.
of all the fists in the world.
Right.
Which our rabbis gave us numbers for, and the calculation that has been accepted, it seems to be in the Jewish world, is about 18 inches. So that's the minimum size of a tzitzit. It's not so big. 27 inches by 18 inches? It's not so big. How big am I looking? Dan, are you good with measurements?
Yeah, 27
So
inches.
under
like
those
2
scarves, then would be a lot.
27 by 18.
Yeah, according to that,
It's
it
like
probably
2
would
feet.
be.
It's like
Yeah, that's about 18
it's
inches.
less
Right.
than 3, like pieces of
I think to wear
of
the
laser
houses
paper.
like scarves.
Right.
Less than 3.
because that'd be 33 inch by 33 by 24. So what were the numbers again?
27 by 18.
27 by 18. Yeah, 27 by 18. So it's like 2 inch by.
It's not so big.
But
It's not so big.
so do those conservative scarf-like come
So
to
we're
that
gonna
length?
see here.
It seems like they would be big enough.
Uviyot sheshiur ama hu 48 centimeter, because ama is 48 centimeters. Uchmo shekadav hagaon Rabbi Chaim Na'eh. You should know in general when you find measurements, you'll find always a few measurements. You'll find Chazon Ish measurements, Moshe Feinstein measurements sometimes, and you'll find Rabbi Avram Chaim Na'eh. My request to you, always go with Rabbi Chaim Na'eh. Always. Sfaradim,
measurements.
Ashkenazim. His measurements are the most normal, and they're normally the smaller ones. if you start following sometimes, have you ever seen a Chazon Ish Kiddush cup? It's like a washing cup. I mean, it's I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a very big size.
King
I'm not
Arthur's
taking away from
table.
the Chazon Ish, but so now Peretz has, we have our own measurements that us students of Peretz follow. They're always half a centimeter off from how Rav Chaim Naeh is. So that's why I'm giving you, Rav Chaim Naeh is on everywhere. All the charts that you'll buy, you'll find his measurements. ולכן יוצא לפי זה ששיעור טלית קטן הוא 72 סנטימטר, 72 סנטימטר אורך long, על 48 סנטימטר רוחב, 48 centimeters width. He says if you want to be strict, you can follow the opinion that says that an amah is 60 centimeters. ולעניין הברכה על טלית קטן, regarding making a blessing on a talit katan, נראה שאף על פי שיוצאים מידי חובה בבגד שיש בו שיעור ענן, even though you'll fulfill a mitzvah for wearing tzitzit that are this small, מכל מקום אין לברך עליו. It's better not to make a blessing on it. כיוון שיש אומרים שאין יוצאים מידי חובת מצוות ציצית בשיעור בגד שכזה, וכלל גדול בידינו שספק ברכות להקל. We have a ruling that when you're in doubt, don't make a blessing. Some rabbis say this is too small to be considered a kosher tzitzit, and therefore it's best to, you can wear it, but don't make a blessing on it. ואם לבשו בשחרית קודם התפילה, and if you put on your tzitzit in the morning before services, לכוון לפוטרו בברכת להתעטף בציצית שברך הטלית גדול. Then you just have in mind, I'm going to make a להתעטף בציצית on a big talit, which I'm going to wear at shacharit. That, according to all opinions, is big enough to be the kosher one, and it will be included in that blessing. אבל אם לובש טלית קטן לאחר תפילת שחרית, כגון שמחליף הטלית קטן, לבשו לאחר שישן ביום, לא יברך עליו כלל. But if you're wearing it at another time during the day, either you switch your tzitzit maybe to another kind of tzitzit, or you slept for a while in the afternoon and then you put your tzitzit back on, so in that situation, you still shouldn't make a blessing. אולם, but, אם לובש טלית שיש בו שיעור 2 אמות אורך, it has 2 amot, so 36 inches length, על אמה רוחב, by 18 inches width, מלבד הנקב של בית הצוואר, aside from the hole that you put your neck inside of. So you're talking about the fabric not including the hole. אם אינו, page 354, אם אינו עתיד ללבוש טלית גדול לאחר מכן, יברך עליו קודם לבישתו בשם מלכות. If you don't plan to wear another big talit afterwards, for example, someone's an Ashkenazi man and they're not married and they're not going to wear a big talit, they should make a blessing with Hashem's name on this tzitzit.
So even though you can't make a bracha on a small talit that requires tzitzit, you're still supposed to have the tzitzit on it.
Oh, very good.
or
So
not.
like what mitzvah, if some rabbi is saying you're not getting a mitzvah, so what exactly are you accomplishing?
Yeah.
Let's skip down 3 paragraphs. Ve'afilu, there's a paragraph that says ve'afilu. Afilu yesh לו רק בגד טלית קטן ביותר. You only have like a really small tzitzit, that's what you have. שלכל הדעות אין בו כשיעור לקיים מצוות ציצית. And according to none of the opinions can you fulfill your mitzvah with this. מכל מקום מוטב שלבשנו מאשר שילך כל היום בלא ציצית כף. It's better to wear this tzitzit than to not wear any tzitzit at all. The logic here, the poskim explained, it seems like the Mekubalim say that wearing tzitzit, even if it's not really fulfilling the obligation, it's better to wear it than not wear anything, though, to walk the whole day without tzitzit.
Okay, say it again. It's better to.
It's better to wear a tzitzit that's not big enough, according to all opinions,
Mhm.
but still have some semblance of wearing tzitzit on you, than to not wear tzitzit at all. The truth is, the Chavetz Chaim is the one, the Mishnah Berurah is the one who brings it down, and he's very bewildered by this opinion. He doesn't understand it really. He's very upset at this point. Maybe it's worth taking 1 minute and reading it to you. This is, I think Doron and I learned this together a few years back. Remember this?
This is the one that caused Rabbi Halevy to kind of scrunch up his eyes a little bit and say, "So we don't always paskin like
I forget what it was. Stuffed it on that.
He says in the Tshuvot Ram Mintz, מפלפל האח יוצאים בארבע כנפות הקטנים מזה השיעור. How is it that everyone wears tzitzit that are so small? ותורף דבריו, this is basically how we have to summarize the Chavetz Chaim says his opinion. דמוטב ללך בהם מללך כל היום בלי ציצית. It's better to wear this than to walk the whole day without wearing tzitzit at all. Torah Lishma, which is the Ben Ish Chai's book of Kabbalistic Shalom Tshuvot, he explains that even though you don't get a mitzvah from this, you get a certain kind of zecher, I'm at least remembering that I should be wearing tzitzit, and that there are tzitzit on me, on my body at this time. He tries to compare it to, there's a halakha in Shulchan Aruch that if a person doesn't have a lulav, he could use the dried out lulav he had from last year, and it doesn't make a blessing. It doesn't get a mitzvah. You're not getting a mitzvah for having the 4 species. But it's better to do that than to not have one at all. I don't know if that opinion is accepted by everybody. I have not seen it done. I remember the Gemara having an argument in Masechet Sukkah. If you don't have it all, should you take a lemon instead? And just don't make a blessing, but at least remember that there are 4 species. The Gemara's conclusion was no. I don't remember exactly the arguments in the poskim right now to tell you what's decisive. But here the Ben Ish Chai is saying by tzitzit, that's why the Maharam Mintz is telling you that it's better to wear this than nothing. It's at this point in the Shulchan Aruch where the Chavetz Chaim says he doesn't understand how it is that in Ashkenaz the custom is that people don't wear talit until they get married. So their whole life is, I understand it's a zecher, but the whole life they're going to wear it to half their life. It's a long time till they get married. They're going to walk around without kosher tzitziot on. So that's unheard of. And he was very upset about it, and it seems like his opinion was that he wishes bar mitzvah boys would wear talitot. I don't have a teaching that says I know that the Chavetz Chaim in his synagogue the bar mitzvah boys wear talitot. The Rama is very strict, and he says in our places we do not wear talitot before people get married, and no one should change this custom.
So it could be a rite of passage.
It could be, but you're using a mitzvah. It's like he's Jewish already at 13.
Yeah, but I mean it's a reward to get married.
Well, the reason why it's this way is the Ashkenazi poskim understood that the Maharshal, Rabbi Shlomo Luria, writes that in the Torah, the parsha of tzitziot and the parsha of getting married are next to each other. And he's trying to tell you, you wear tzitziot when you get married. But Chavetz Chaim says that's not such a strong source. The Gemara didn't say that, so how could we make such things up on our own? I saw poskim today that say that bar mitzvah boys should wear talitot regardless of their background. I don't have the audacity to stand up and tell the Ashkenazi world. Did the camera just turn off? No? Oh, okay. I don't have the audacity to tell, you're all wrong, you have to start wearing talitot. But I question, in a world where we do so many unnecessary stringencies, we take on so many unnecessary stringencies, wouldn't this be the kind of stringency that we would rather take on, fulfilling a biblical mitzvah for people of all the time? And it's only once a day in the Beit Knesset. What's the big deal? What could happen already? People who wear talit, you think it's nothing bad about it.
Well, do you think this is another one of those things that goes into that truck that we sent back to Hashem?
But the poskim mentioned
it's
not like people on the street made this up. The Ashkenazi rabbis knew, and they still decided this way. So I can't come tell them that they're wrong. I can just say, I question in a generation like today, where everything that you don't have to do, people are doing. So maybe they would say, well, if you're living in that kind of place, then this is one of those things you should do first. Maybe. I can't speak for them. I just wish that somebody else would.
So what's the halakhic basis of not wearing tzitzit or talit before you get married?
It's that maybe your tzitzit is big enough.
Really?
Yeah. It's not very strong. The argument is not very strong.
Kind of lame.
You said it. And my biggest proof is the original Ashkenazim. When you say Ashkenaz, you don't mean Poland, you mean Germany. The original Ashkenazim, the German Jews wear talitot at bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I know.
They did not accept the opinion of the Rama, which tells me that Sfaradim and Ashkenazim both wore talitot at bar mitzvah, and this custom is a deviation from that, not something else. In which case, if somebody wants to say, I want to be very Ashkenazi, so you can go back to the source. No one's going to get an avera for wearing a talit. It could only be the other way around. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
If the Chavetz Chaim hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't. No, but the Chavetz Chaim, this is his opinion. All right, we'll pick up on this next week.